Okay, so I'm doing chest and triceps today. I'm not going to record the whole routine, but what I wanted to do is just talk about the importance of warming up using the exercise that you're going to be doing, especially when you're starting your first working set with your highest weight, the highest weight that you're going to be using within that exercise. So for chest, I typically do it in a reverse order in terms of the weight. So I start heavy and I'll go to failure, and then the next set I'll drop the weight down a little bit, I'll go to failure, I'll drop the weight down a bit, go to failure, and then do a fourth set. Again, I'll strip the weight down a little bit more, go to failure. A lot of people do it in the reverse order. They'll start with their light weights and they'll just, do 12 reps, 15 reps, whatever it is. They're not going to failure. Then they'll go to their next weight and they'll do a certain amount of reps. They're not going to failure. Then they'll do their next weight, and maybe that's their heavy set, potentially on the third set, and then hopefully they'll try and go to failure. But the reason you start heavy is because doing it that way, you can ultimately achieve failure on all the drop sets below as well. So instead of just having one set that you go to failure on, you're having 3 or 4 sets that you go to failure on, and you're still working within the defined rep ranges, maybe of between 6 to 8 reps and 15 reps, let's say. Whereas if you start light, it's going to take a lot more than 15 reps to go to failure, and it's often we're trying to maximize the impact of the workouts we have within the time that we have to work out. So starting with a heavy working set is a good way to do it. But you wouldn't just come in and pick up your heaviest weight and go straight into that working set. That's going to be a recipe for disaster over time. You're definitely going to injure something within your body. So you need to prime the muscle group ready for that heavy working set. So typically the way it works is we have a certain, baseline. We'll have a certain amount of muscle fibers that are activated within any muscle group in our body, and it'll be a low level. Typically, let's say 20% of our muscle fibers are always active and ready to go. And let's say your heavy working set is going to require 90 to 95% of your muscle fibers to be activated in order to lift that weight. We don't want to go from your baseline, which might be walking into the gym and my chest is 20% active just as standard throughout the day. But now I'm going to go and ask it to activate up to 95% of the muscle fibers. That is a huge amount of muscle fibers you need to activate in that first rep of that heavy set. And in those sort of times, it's asking a bit too much of your body a lot of the time, and you can get injured. So what you want to do is activate small increases in the amount of muscle fibers with each warm-up set that you do. So I'm going to be working with the 36 kilo dumbbells today. That will be my heavy set. That will be my first working set. But in order to get there, I'm going to be doing 3 reps. I like 3 reps. 2 reps is probably fine if you want to do it with 2 reps. I do it with 3. It's just a practice I've got used to and it works for me, so I'm happy to stick with it. But I start with the 13 kgs, 13 kilo dumbbells. I'll do 3 reps. Then I'll go to the 18s, I'll do 3 reps. Then I'll go to the 22s, I'll do 3 reps. Then the 27s, I'll do 3 reps. Then the 32s, I'll do 3 reps. And each time you are doing that first rep on each of those sets, you are activating more muscle fibers within the muscle group that you're training. And you're activating the required amount of muscle fibers to lift that particular weight. So if you keep going up in those small increments, maybe you're activating maybe another 10% of your muscle fibers within the chest on each set, to the point where when I get to the 32 kilos and I do that first rep, by the end of that first rep, up and down, the muscle fibers are activated to lift 32 kilos. So the second rep will go up more easily because the muscle fibers are already activated for that weight. The first reps always go up slightly harder because you are in the process of activating more muscle fibers in order to deal with the weight that you're lifting. And if it's the first rep, it's the first time you've exposed that muscle to that weight. So, you know, it has to wake up a few more muscle fibers, and then by the time you go down for this, or by the time you're at the end of that first rep, everything's active. Second rep goes up easier. That's why the second reps are always easier than the first. And then, if I'm only going to the 36s, it's only a 4 kilo increase, well, each side, 8 kilos in total, I suppose. But it's a much smaller amount of muscle fibers that I need to activate than just coming in here and just picking up those 36s and making it a real struggle on that first rep, where I'm asking my body to go from 20% muscle fiber activation, and I'm picking that number out of my backside, really. But you get the point. It's just to highlight what is happening within. Maybe my body's at 50% muscle activation, you know, all the time. I don't really know, but the point is that with each incremental set that you do, you activate more fibers, and you're not asking your body to do a huge jump from, let's say, 50% to 90% of the muscle fibers all in one set. You want to break that down and maybe activate 10 to 15% more muscle fibers with each set that you do. And you don't want to exhaust yourself, which is why you keep it to 2 or 3 reps. I would say 2 reps is a minimum. 3 reps is fine. It's just reinforcing it, so I know that the fibers are fully activated for that weight, and then I'll jump up in weight again. So anyway, it's a bit garbled, but you get the point. If you're starting heavy, you have to do these warm-up sets on the exercise that you're going to be doing in order to get you closer to that working set. You could even go heavier than your working set with these warm-up reps. I mean, I could potentially go up to like the 38s or the 40s and just do a couple of reps and then drop it down to the 36s for my working set. But that way I know I've got all the muscle fibers active for that weight already. It depends how you want to do it. I like to just get close to the working set number, like within spitting distance, and then go into the working set. So I'm going to start with the 13s. I'm just going to do 3 reps. So, because they're light, I generally just swing them up like that. Right. Okay, so I'm going to move it to the 18 kilos now. And again, I'm going to do the same amount of reps, just 3 reps. And you don't have to do them, you know, back to back to back to back. You can have a bit of a rest between your warm-up sets, you know. That's fine. I suppose it all depends how much time you've got to train, but you don't want to be exhausted by the time you get to your working set. You want to be ready for that working set so you can push out, you know, the most amount of reps that you've ever got on that weight. That's always going to be the goal. We always want steady improvements. Right. Okay, another 3 reps on the 18s. You'll notice I use the momentum of the weights in order to sit back up with them. That way I'm never going to get stuck down and having to then drop them to the floor. I don't want to do that. I want to have, you know, nice control really, but I do use momentum in the way I sit back up. Almost like pushing those weights forward and then bringing my body with it. Get them onto my knees, stand up, re-rack them, and then go for the next set. So I'm going to be going for the 22s now. Obviously, if you're in a gym, just keep it like a fairly uniform increase between each set. You know, go up in 5 kilos each time, or whatever, or 2.5 kilos, dependent on where you're trying to get to, or maybe go up in 10 kilos at a time if you're going to the 50 kilos as your working set. Start with the 10s, go to the 20s, go to the 30s, go to the 40s, maybe go to the 45s. You know, do 2 or 3 reps on each one, then go for your working set on the 50s. By that point, you've activated most of the muscle fibers required to lift the 50s anyway. You're just going to have to be activating maybe another, the remaining 10% of those fibers required. And in that case, you know, there shouldn't be any risk of injuring yourself lifting those weights up. It's different if you just go and do a load of reps on the 10 kilos and then go straight to the 50s. Yeah, it could be a problem. And I think you get better results that way anyway. Incrementally increasing it, so you avoid injuries and you prep your body ready for what's to come. Okay, 22s. Okay, 27 kgs now. And prior to all of this, I did a 10-minute warm-up on my max trainer, so imperative for me, certainly at the age I'm at now, I have to do the warm-ups, otherwise I am just inviting injuries. Even if I was doing these warm-up sets, if I just go into them cold, yeah, I'm asking for trouble. So it has to be part of the routine that on every single routine I do, it's 10 minutes on the max trainer, incrementally increasing my work rate, sort of almost minute on minute, until at the end of it I've got some pretty heavy breathing. It would be very difficult for me to hold a conversation at the same time, and I feel like my body is warmed up and, you know, I'm starting to get a bit of a sweat on. Right. Okay, 27s, 3 reps. This is my second to last warm-up set. Right, I'm going to put it up to the 32s, and then we're going to be within spitting distance of my working set. And each of these sets, just been prepping my muscles just a little bit more with every single incremental increase. Activating a few more muscle fibers in each of the muscle cells. Alright, the 32 kilos. So I've got 10 reps on the 34s last week, and that was the most I've done in years, absolute years. So today, going up to the 36s, yeah, I haven't lifted, well, I won't have lifted these weights in about 4 years. So we'll see how we go. Right, last warm-up set, 32s. Okay, well, warm-up sets are done. Now for the working sets. So now this is going to be my first working set. These are the sets that count. All of those, you know, 3 rep sets that I just did, they're literally just warm-up sets. So they don't count. All they count towards is making sure that you're safer, that you don't injure yourself, and that you are specifically warmed up for the working set that you're about to do. You know, it doesn't matter how long you warm up on cardio machines or anything like that, or how many bands you use to, you know, do your joint distraction, stretch your muscles, do your foam rollering. You need to do specific warm-up sets when you're going to be starting off heavy with your first working set on any resistance exercise. I say any resistance exercise. This is the first exercise of the routine. Once we get through, you know, the 4 sets of these, I don't have to do warm-up sets for the inclines. I can just go into like a first set of heavy incline presses, because it's a very similar movement. All the muscle fibers are already activated, even for that movement, even though it's a slightly different angle. Yeah, you just need to worry about it if your first exercise on a body part and is going heavy on the first working set, then make sure you do your warm-up sets. I cannot emphasize that enough. Right, let's see what we get. The aim is going to be 6 reps. Any more is a bonus, any less just says that, well, maybe this week isn't a strong week for me. Been feeling pretty lethargic all week and I haven't had the best results all week. They've been okay, but not the best, so let's see how we go. Right. Okay, 36s. Here we come. Okay. Jeez. Oh, that wasn't ideal. Whew. Oh. Well, I'm very happy with the set. 9 reps with what I would consider a very slow eccentric on that last rep. That then made it very difficult for me to move those weights forward to create that momentum to sit up. Instead of sort of getting them to the point of mid-thigh towards my knee, I dropped them right on the top of my thighs, and at that point there's no momentum. Well, not much. Anyway, yeah, that was a bit of an ugly get-up, but brilliant set, really happy with that. Yeah, 9 reps, 6 was the target. I mean, when I get to 10 on any of these weights, I will then go up in weight the next week. So, yeah, we've got another week of doing that weight. Maybe another couple of weeks, who knows? All depends. Our strength can fluctuate week to week, but at the moment, it seems to be increasing quite a lot, week on week, and that will be aided by the fact that I'm still in my weight gain phase. I'm putting on weight, functional weight, not fat, because fat's not going to help me lift this. And you know, as my strength is increasing, I don't weigh myself until a Monday morning. And it's Sunday today, but I can only assume I've put on more weight this week, just just by the way I moved those. So yeah, I'll be back to report in. But remember, warm up, incremental increases, start light, choose 4 or 5 sets to get yourself within touching distance of that first working set, that first heavy working set, and then go for it. So yeah, that's me now. I'm going to carry on with the rest of the routine. Have a great weekend. Take care. Bye now.